We're already halfway through Stage 3, and the standings are starting to look a little unfamiliar. Right now, Boston Uprising, Los Angeles Valiant, New York Excelsior, and the San Francisco Shock are sitting in playoff spots. There are certainly some surprises there. Once again, a lot of teams in the Overwatch League are up and down, and even the ever-consistent New York Excelsior have only been scraping results recently. Related articles: previous won the next Overwatch League. London Spitfire beat Seoul Dynasty 4-0. Overwatch League. Peculiar apology from Los Angeles. Overwatch League. Both of Shanghai Dragons starting DPS. T-Pain is a big Overwatch fan, and so is his daughter. Share this article. Share one. New York Excelsior. After a roaring start to the stage following their Stage 2 victory, New York Excelsior have been getting on by the skin of their teeth. They lost to the surging Boston Uprising last week, and since then, every single one of their games has gone to a tiebreaker. They're still the top dogs, but we're used to seeing 4-0 scorelines, not 3-2. They've been swapping around the roster more often recently, which could have something to do with things. The fact they can still pull off results while subbing in the likes of Pine, Animo, Janus, etc. shows how good their .the rest of the stage should be. 4 wins, but Shock and Dynasty might be able to give them a good game in their current state. Boston Uprising. I expected Boston's results to take a downturn after the Dream Casper business, but they've gone from strength to strength. Picking up wins against New York, London, and Seoul in an 8-day span is seriously impressive, and firmly puts them in contention for the Stage 3 title. With only Dallas, Shanghai, and the 2 Los Angeles teams remaining, Boston Uprising might just pull off the first unbeaten stage in the Overwatch League, which is unexpected after losing 4 matches in each stage so far. They're certainly the best of the West right now, and they'll be hungry to prove they're simply the best. London Spitfire. London are hanging in there near the top of these power rankings, but it might only be due to prior performances. They've been pretty poor this stage, but did at least manage to grab a win against Valiant this week. The first 2 maps went pretty smoothly, then they had their standard control loss, and they got utterly stomped on Route 66. They might have finally found someone worse at Oasis than them though, which is a bonus. They've got a very slim chance of making the playoffs still, but it's very unlikely. If they can't get back to winning ways, they're going to start slipping. Los Angeles Valiant. Los Angeles Valiant are back to their Stage 1 ways. teams and fans are underestimating them, yet they keep winning games. They were on a pretty hot streak in Stage 3, which was ended by London in a close match this week. Their schedule is pretty kind though, as they don't have to play New York this stage. They'll still face a couple of stiff tests against Boston and Philadelphia in Week 5 though, and having those games at such an important time could mean the difference between making the playoffs or missing out. Five. Philadelphia Fusion. It's been an unfortunate week for the Philadelphia Fusion. They came up short against New York Excelsior once again, and then they lost to the San Francisco Shock. It's likely Fusion spent most of their time this week focusing on New York, but the Shock are not to be underestimated right now. Fusion are another team back to their Stage 1 ways, as they are getting wins, but are dropping a lot of maps when they do. If the Stage 3 playoff race comes down to map differential again, the Fusion could be in trouble. Six. Seoul Dynasty. Seoul still haven't found the right formula for success. They've never been totally out of the running, but they still haven't qualified for stage playoffs yet, despite going a fairly decent 7-3 in the first two. In Stage 3, they've already lost 3 games, which doesn't bode well for 2 weeks' time. Plus, they've dropped maps to both Dallas and Shanghai, which hasn't helped their differential. To make matters worse, they still have to play Philadelphia, New York, and they bogey Team London Spitfire in the final 2 weeks. Dynasty could be missing out on playoffs yet again. 7. San Francisco Shock. One of the Overwatch League teams on the rise. San Francisco Shock are making the most of their young new players. They're in the playoff spots right now, but their only real surprise win came against Philadelphia Fusion this week. Beating Dallas, Gladiators, and Shanghai is maybe not much of a shock. Expect them to slip little next week against London and New York, but they'll certainly be in with a chance of making the playoffs, if they can keep up results like these. Eight. Los Angeles Gladiators. Los Angeles Gladiators haven't quite managed to find their Stage 2 form in recent weeks. They've been an up-and-down team all season, and after 26 games, they're dead even at 13 wins and 13 losses. To be fair, they had very close games against their Los Angeles rivals and the New York Excelsior this week, both of which went to a tiebreaker. In Week 4 they have London and Houston, then in Week 5 they've got Florida and Boston. Sounds like a 2-2 finish to the stage to me. 9. Houston Outlaws. Days of Houston Outlaws' huge winning streak seem like such a distant memory now. They're hanging in there at 3-3 and picked up 2 routine wins this week against Florida and Dallas, but they're not dominating the lower teams like they once were. Their record in Stage 3 might not show how close some of their losses were, but they need to pick up these results in order to climb the rankings. There are winnable games remaining for the Outlaws, and they might yet qualify for the playoffs. Dallas Fuel. Dallas took a step forward last week with some decent performances against Seoul and Los Angeles Valiant, but it's gone back downhill this week. They didn't manage to score a map victory against Shock or Outlaws, although they did manage at least one draw against Houston. The squad and backroom staff has been a revolving door this season, and they still need an extended period of consistency to really get going. They won't get anything out of this season, but at least they can start building towards the next one. Florida Mayhem. Florida Mayhem picked up their first win of the stage this week, but it was only against the Shanghai Dragons. They've been improving in terms of map differential so far in Stage 3, but they need to convert that into wins. Much like Dallas, they won't be competing in any of the playoff tournaments this season, but there's certainly some potential for improvement in Season 2. Shanghai Dragons. After not pulling it off against Dallas Fuel in the first week of Stage 3, everyone was looking towards this week's match against Florida as maybe, just maybe, Shanghai's first win of the season. Unfortunately, it didn't come, and the 0-40 disaster season is looking more and more like a reality. If they can't beat the teams near the bottom of the table with them, they don't have much hope for beating anyone else. Their player improves week by week, but there's still a noticeable gap between them and everyone else. Related articles. Previous won the next Overwatch League. London Spitfire beat Seoul Dynasty 4-0. Overwatch League. Pick your apology from Los Angeles. Overwatch League. Both of Shanghai Dragons starting DPS. T-Pain is a big Overwatch fan, and so is his daughter. Share this article. Share.